is re-released again after almost 1 year. Why do I want to talk about it? Well, mainly what's going on the internet and all of the comments that I saw, some of the comments that I received made me feel like I wanted to get my thoughts out and just give you some facts and of course my opinion when it comes to this palette, since so many people seems to be kind of confused because, especially because of its price. What should I get between this palette and that palette? What do I buy? So let's talk about it. 10 months ago, when Ethereal Eyes palette was released, first question for everyone was, why is this just a limited edition? And now, surprise, it's back and left many people with a question, why is this happening? Before we continue, I am wearing Ethereal Eyes on my eyes. Also, I'm wearing shade 6 on my cheeks, which I do love this tone for the blush. I know this is not meant to be a blush, but you know, I wanted to use this palette as much as I can. And this look is, I would say, if you ask me, this is my signature type of a look for a glam makeup look. And now that this palette is almost going to expire within a month and a half, I think, I feel bad that I haven't used this one more. As you can see, shades that I use the most are these toppers and the shade number 1, also this transitional shade, I think, yeah, and this one right here. If I find anything that will be of value for you that you can watch as a tutorial, I will post it right here so you can watch this. Anyways, let's talk about this. Recently I made a video, I made a comparison between Makeup by Mary Ethereal Eyes and also Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. The more that I look into these palettes, I see how different they are. They may seem, at the first glance, they are similar, but they're not similar for various reasons. Even if we are talking about color story or the performance or the eyeshadow finishes, they are different. And you obviously get a different number of the eyeshadows in here and different finishes and everything, but we'll get into that later. I will also do some swatches comparisons, and let me tell you, I don't have like the biggest makeup collection, but anything that I could find that is valid within 1 or 2 years within the eyeshadow palettes, I couldn't find. Oh my god, I think I only like could have duped like half, maybe even not even the half of this palette. When it comes to, I did find like a really similar eyeshadows, but the same ones I didn't. But anything that I did find, I will share with you. First of all, people are complaining so much because of, not just only because of the price. Maybe they would say like the price can be justified, which is at the moment $68, but look at this. So it's mainly, now it is available, I think even at a Sephora. You can get this palette from Makeup by Mary's official website, and the thing here is that if you order this palette for $68, now when you pay for the additional, when they add taxes and also when you pay for the shipping, people are now saying that to Europe is around 103 euros, which I haven't checked because I still have this one. I'm thinking about repurchasing this one as well. But always when I'm buying anything, whenever you see certain price in American dollars, for me, because I do buy stuff because I live in Europe, so whenever that converts with the taxes and then with the shipping, all of the palettes come really expensive when you think about it, especially if you're buying just one product. It's a lot. So people are mainly here, what I could see from the website, complaining about his official website being so expensive when they convert, whenever they're buying outside of America for the most part. And I do understand that, like, to give over 100 euros for this palette alone, and it's going to expire in 12 months, it's a lot. But at the same time, it depends on what you want. Like, if this is for a business purposes, then I'll say not only go for it, but buy a backup, which at the same time, when I saw online, it's just limited five pieces per customer, and you can't buy more than that if you are logged into one account, obviously. But on the other hand, if this is something that is going to be, if you're not buying this, not even for a business to use this on a customer, and you're just gonna use this for yourself, if you're going to use this type of shades on a daily basis, then at the same time, it's really possible that most of the shades you are going to use within the year, or that at least you're going to hit a pan with most of these eyeshadows. But you know what? Now thinking between even between these two palettes, like this palette right here is something that will grab more when it comes to client's job. It's just because the Natasha's palette is it's differently color story idea, because initially, like I said, I thought we are going to get like all of the brown shades, but these are like muted rose shades, which depending on the skin tone, they can pull very differently on the skin. And going through the comments, like I saw even the confusion between these two, and I'll say, if you want to have variety when it comes to colors, what he've done in this palette is, I'll say it's pretty smart. With the 12 shades that we have in here, depth and the undertones that he made in here, I said this is brilliant. Is this my perfect palette? It's not, but it's pretty close to what I can use and then get a lot of variety in between when it comes to palette that is mainly made for a classic glam makeup look, I'll say. This one, first of all, because of these muted rosy undertones, I am limited, because if I want to do a brown look, then what I can do is to go with mostly with the shimmers, which I don't want to do. And I do miss like the brown transitions in this one, since we do have a combination of the kind of a browns as well, but all of the matte shades are in this palette now when I think about it. Besides silhouette shade, they are more muted rosy undertones. And for example, this stone and mesh colors, they do play differently than all of these browns within Makeup by Mario. Like the shade number 5 is the only one that can kind of compare here with these two shades, or even these 3 shades in between. But why do we have like 3 shades that are pretty much similar, when here I have one of those and then I can combine other undertones to create something else? So dip my nail in this. So that's one thing that I'll say that this palette has advantage before this one right here. Let me tell you, I love both of these palettes, but again, listen to this, like their formulations are different, so they perform differently. Natasha's eyeshadows, the pigment grab differently, more if you're even familiar with the Pat McGrath, like more like her eyeshadows. When Makeup by Mario's, they do blend easily. They are like lightly pressed compared to Natasha's. Do you remember in my video now when I tried the new formula from Charlotte Tilbury, how I didn't like her mattes? I love the idea of the undertones, but the problem here is these are so soft. They reminded me of Natasha's Cream to Powder, which are, in my opinion, way better for the application. These one, they blended one on top of each other, and whenever I would use a certain shade, it's like one shade would erase the other one. I didn't like that. Like again, if you like a light look and doing something easy, good. But even this deeper shade, it doesn't give me depth just because of the formulation of the eyeshadow. So that's something that I don't like. So these are super blendable, sheer. I'll say this is somewhere in between. So if you are looking for something to be easy for you to blend, or even to palette to learn with your skills to practice, this is definitely give you the edge and make your life easier when it comes to eyeshadows. Now this one, I'll say I do, of course I do love the formulation, but they do perform differently, and they are a little bit hardly pressed than the Mario's. And one thing that we do, of course, have in this palette are these 3 toppers. These are truly toppers, different toppers than any other that I've tried. I know a lot of you commented that the Urban Decay Space Calvo, and now I want to try that one. I haven't tried that one, so I can't speak for it. Comparing that one to the Makeup by Mario's, like the formulation is the same and the finish is the same, but you know what? If I can have everything in one palette that I have, then I'd rather just buy this, you know, than have like 5 different individual palettes and pans or whatnot just to create something. If you have everything in one place, that's good. It's gonna save you time and everything. Again, I cannot speak for that one because I haven't tried it, but now I'm saying that I would love to, just to compare that. But Mario said that the glossy shimmer formula gives the lid a wet-like shine for the ultimate ethereal look. And this is the first to market finish that is infused with pearls coated with emollient binders to impact the reflective water-like shine on the lids. And I'll say that is true. Like these feel like a melted butter. You know, the formulation is different. I tried some other toppers, even this right here from Charlotte Tilbury is a topper. So these first three are the Makeup by Mario toppers, and the last one is, for example, Charlotte Tilbury. But the thing is, once I apply this one on the lid, it's beautiful, but it looks like totally different. And even though it looks sheering on this swatch, when you apply it on your lid and on top of the other makeup, it is totally different. And once again, I'll say these are super unique, and I do have them on my eyelids. I do have actually all three of them, but the first one and second one, the most when it comes to today's look. Now I want to go through some swatches. And listen, I always appreciate when a brand has a lighter shade within the palette. That means a lot. If you are into makeup or if you are a makeup artist, you'll understand how crucial that is to create any makeup look. Like, you always want to have light and dark in the palette. And you don't want to have like 10 palettes in front of you just to create one neutral makeup look just because this and that palette doesn't have anything. Just basically like a normal, regular, light matte eyeshadow. Is that a lot? Anyways, this right here, it's not my perfect shade, but it is one of the best that I do own, and I really appreciate this one. So this is EE1, and this is how this one looks like. Now in his Master Mattes, we do have also light shade, but this one is like, I don't know, it's like it has like pink undertone and it's too light. Like, it can really work really good for the fair skin, but here is the difference, for example. So these are Glam and My Dream palette, and right here I don't have any light shade that I could incorporate into my look. You would think, I thought first when I saw this palette online, like, yay, this fair shade is going to be light enough, but it's not. Like, the undertone is too pink, too rosy actually, sorry. And you'll see how different this one is. Yeah, I don't even know if the camera can catch this. This is Makeup by Mario EE1. This is from his Master Matte Light Eyeshadow. And this is Natasha Denona Nude palette. And this one is darker and like muted rose undertone. And I think like this maybe even can go for a, if you are light in your complexion, this can go even as a transition shade, but I do miss that neutral shade when it comes to light shade. This one right here, but this is a bit, it does have sheen into it, but then the undertone, it is beautiful. This is from Urban Decay Naked Metal Mania, and this one is from Groundwork from Vanessa Myricks. This one is like, it does have a yellow undertone, so I'll say still this is, in formulation, this is my favorite one. The one that I loved so far the most is from the Illamasqua Elemental Artistry palette. Yeah, but I do not own that palette anymore, unfortunately, but that one was perfect. Now, interestingly enough, for the shade E3 EE4, not find anything that I can compare. It took me over an hour to swatch everything that I have, and I couldn't find anything like this, believe it or not. Like, even the eyeshadows, like the shades, when you look at this in a pan, you would think, oh, this may be, they look similar, right? But then when you swatch them, you realize it's not close. Like, this is too red, this is too in between, and then you think maybe this shade right here would suit this. But no, like, it looks different. Like, everything is so close, so different. And then I went back and forth so many times with so many eyeshadows. Like, the depth is the same, the undertone is different, and so many stuff. And it's just, I didn't find the exact same dupe. Or the formulation was different. So this is Makeup by Mario EE5, and this is, well, now when I swatched it a couple of times, you can see in a swatch and in a performance how it looks differently now. I need a nude palette, shade Stone, and this is Charlotte Tilbury. But yeah, this one is more on a brown side. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, no matter which shade I found, I can find kind of a similar, but then they will even go differently on the eyelid. So I guess I can't even find the shade for this one. And even if you would think, for example, look at this, like, oh, this shade may be close to this, and then you swatch it, and you realize everything is so different. Maybe it does look in a pan similar, but don't be confused by it. When you swatch them and when you apply them on the eyelid and when you combine them with the other eyeshadows, they're going to look differently. Now I'll switch to a shade EE7. And for that shade I applied Wit and Vogue shades. But this is not it. Yeah, you can see how the undertone and everything is different. And when you look at the number 7 here, you would think they look similar again in a pan. You swatch them, it's not. So I had that issue today, no matter how many times I tried to swatch them and find something. I just couldn't. Now EE8. Now if anything, EE8 was a shade I thought I'm going to be able to do from the I Need a Nude palette, but instead I took the Glam palette. And I found this shade right here being most comparable to that one. But for me, Makeup by Mario is a bit more richer in a color, I would say. Then I took my Dream palette and shade Serenity from the Natasha Denona. But that one wasn't that much comparable, and any of these shades that would you think that will match that one. So this is Makeup by Mario and this is I Need a Nude palette. Maybe they have same depth, same undertone, but with the top or kind of sheen glitters on top of them make these shades differently than this from Ethereal Eyes. That's the whole point. As I was trying to find Makeup by Mario EE9 shade, now these are this is Charlotte Tilbury's second shade in her Beautyverse palette, and this is Urban Decay Sound Tower shade. But these last two, they look more similar than the Makeup by Mario, so again, hardly find this one as well. Now for the Makeup by Mario last 12 shade, I did find from Groundwork palette shade Harvest from Vanessa Myricks, not the pomade but the actual powder, being like the only one that is like the closest to it. We do have Silhouette here, but it's a bit more darker than the Mario's and a bit more cooler tone, and all of the other ones that I've tried are for the most part leaning more cooler tone than the Mario's. His one, let me swatch it again. Yeah, now you can see truly the pigment. I'll say it does have a little bit more warmth than the other one that I tried. Now in his topper, the only thing that I could find like being a little bit more similar, at least in the appearance, but you can see like how different at the same time they are. This is mixed between first two toppers from the Makeup by Mario, and this one is Galaxia from the Starlight palette from the Natasha Denona. Anyways, to wrap this video up, if you have to choose between this palette and some other palettes, I'll say before anything decide because this is not a permanent line, who knows if it's gonna come back once it's sold out. I'll say just see what are your needs, what is your preference. If you are a makeup artist, I would highly suggest this one. And I stand behind the statement that this is quality palette, different finishes, and you have so many shades and undertones that are just must have. His first palette, Master Mattes, he made sure that these two palettes don't overlap, like they have same shades in here. So both of them are essential, and honestly I do prefer the quality of this one, even though this one is a little bit like hardly pressed. These are a little bit more easier to work with and to blend them. That being said, I do love the Master Mattes original palette because of this whole undertone idea that he created with it. I just wanted to hopefully make your decision of purchasing easier, and just to address some of the comments and thoughts and questions that have been in the air recently with the relaunch of this palette. It caught me by surprise too. Is this just a marketing idea to do? Maybe it is, because you are releasing same palette almost a year after. So probably what I think, may be wrong, I may be wrong, but what I think is when they initially launched this one, they had specific quantity of this palette. And then again, knowing like how essential and good this palette is, so many people miss the opportunity to have it, and on the other hand, people that bought it have to repurchase it because it's going to expire soon. So it's kind of a win-win when it comes to business-wise. Maybe that's the reason, maybe it's not. Apparently it's celebrating even his birthday, and it's apparently back for a limited time by popular demand. But we knew this is going to be in demand. Like, this is essential palette that would go wild, I think. Let me know your thoughts when it comes to everything that is going on around this palette lately. Again, let me know if you have anything that is comparable to this one, at least when it comes to matte, because I'm positive that in this specific shimmer formula, it is unique. Anyways, I will finish this video with these thoughts, and let me know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts when it comes to this re-release of this, I'll say, gorgeous palette. And other than that, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in my next one really soon. Thank you.